Very good morning, my dear students. And last class, we learned the various 2-mark answers that is found or present in lesson 12, Nutrition in Animals. And in today's class, let us move on to 5-mark answers. We just have 3 answers in lesson 2. We will discuss those 3 answers. I hope you have all learned those 2-mark answers, especially the last 5 answers, because they are little bigger. If you have finished, then today's 5-mark also will be easy for you to follow, to memorize and to recall. If you have not gone through those answers, 2-mark answers, I am sure you will skip today's answers and you may find it difficult to read 5-mark answers, since they are somewhat larger than those 2-mark answers. I hope you understand. Anyhow, keep this in mind, without passing certain difficulties you cannot achieve success in your life unless you hard work, unless you put your or spend your time in reading, learning, memorizing and being sincere or obeying your parents. So success will be far. Keeping this in mind, go through the lessons, go through the answers and start preparing for your midterm exam. And by this time I think you are informed your first midterm exam starts from August 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 days, each day one exam. So at least now you start preparing for your exams. If you are already preparing, well and good, and keep working on your answers, keep working on your lessons, keep working on your concepts. Okay, right. Our first 5-mark question is, why should we brush after eating sugar products? I repeat, why should we brush after eating sugar products? Generally, it need not to be a sugar product. Either it is a sugar, that is carbohydrates, or protein or fat. When you eat, what happens? Those food particles start to accumulate in the gap that is found in between the teeth. We have already learned about this in care of teeth. Under the topic we have learned about this, where we have learned that we have to brush twice a day, both in the morning as well as in the night time. That is, immediately after getting up from the bed, we have to go for cleaning our teeth, as well as before going to bed we have to brush our teeth. So basically, when you don't brush your teeth properly, what happens? You come across more accumulation of your food particles in the form of carbohydrates or proteins or fats. But in this question they are concentrating only on sugar, that is carbohydrates. So basically, when you don't brush your teeth, so the food particles accumulate in between the teeth, and that results in the growth of many kinds of microorganisms, especially bacteria, which start to consume the food particles in the mouth, and they produce a bad odor, bad smell, and also they start to infect the enamel of our teeth. The outer covering of our teeth is known as enamel. It starts to infect or damage the enamel, and thereby causing and thereby leading to the loss of teeth. So we should be very careful in carrying the teeth. Now let's go to the answer. We should brush after eating sugar products because brushing removes sugar particles sticking in our mouth. If we do not brush, gradually teeth become yellowish due to accumulation of some sticky film containing food particles mixed with saliva. This is called plaque. The sugary food material present in plaque is converted into acids by some bacteria generally present in the mouth. The acid so formed damages the enamel, causing tooth decay and leads to the formation of cavity which causes severe pain. So this answer explains that we should brush our teeth regularly. We should brush after eating sugar products, okay, especially after eating sugar products, because the brushing removes all kinds of sugar particles, or I could say in general it removes all kinds of food particles sticking in our mouth or sticking in between the teeth. If we do not brush slowly, gradually means slowly, gradually or slowly, teeth become yellowish. This is the first symptom. So whenever when your teeth is not white, okay, which means you are not brushing your teeth properly. Again I repeat, if you don't brush gradually, teeth become yellowish, and due to that accumulation of some sticky film, okay, so this sticky film is none other than the presence of bacteria. So they will be sticky in nature, so that will start to produce in our mouth, that is the growth of germs or the growth of bacteria. So which is actually, the sticky film is none other than food particles, germs and saliva, okay, and this sticky film is actually known as plaque. Okay, again I repeat the second sentence, if we do not brush gradually, teeth become yellowish due to accumulation of some sticky film containing food particles mixed with the saliva. This is called plaque. The sugary food material present in plaque is converted into acids by some bacteria generally present in the mouth. So basically the germs, when it starts to feed on the food particles, it produces acids. So this happens in all living organisms, especially in animals and microorganisms, so which depends on other organisms. Whenever when the food is digested, you come across production of some gases and production of some acids. So in some cases we come across this word in advertisements, acidity, okay, in certain advertisements, when you drink that particular medicine, acidity will be removed, okay, so acids will be produced. Like that, when this bacteria grow in our mouth, acids will be produced, and that acid will start to damage the enamel, okay. So the bacteria, whether the bacteria damage the enamel or not, the acid that is produced by the bacteria starts to damage or destroy the enamel. And when the enamel is the strongest part of our body, when this enamel is damaged, automatically which results in tooth decay, that is slowly the tooth will start to degrade one by one, okay, and that leads to loss of tooth, and which results in the formation of cavity or severe pain, okay. That is, first the damage of enamel causes decay, okay, that is the first point, and because of that cavity will be produced, okay. So whenever when a part of our body is damaged, for example in other parts of our body we call it as wound, so you come across a small cavity in the wound because of the decay or damage. Like that, in the teeth, because of this damage in the enamel and because of the tooth decay, that results in the formation of cavity, okay, and this will cause severe pain, which we have learned before in our class. The second question is, define the following terms, which includes ingestion, digestion and egestion. Again I repeat, define the following terms, ingestion, digestion and egestion. So these three alone we should define in this question. So this recalls what you have learned before. The topic is process of digestion. So in that process of digestion, we have learned that there are 5 stages, which includes ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and digestion. Out of these 5 processes, in this question they are asking only 3 concepts or 3 processes: ingestion, digestion and digestion alone. So we have to define this. That will give you full 5 marks. First, ingestion. The taking in of food inside the body is called ingestion. In humans, ingestion takes place through mouth. Again I repeat, the taking in of food inside the body is called ingestion. In humans, ingestion takes place through mouth. So this we have learned before. So ingestion is the process by which the food gets inside the body. In simple words I could say, the food being swallowed. So this intake of food, or the way by which the food goes inside your body, is called ingestion. Okay, so that is the first sentence. The taking in of food inside the body is called ingestion. In humans, it takes place through mouth, and also in almost all animals it takes place through mouth. The second definition is digestion. Digestion is the breakdown of the various complex nutrients present in the ingested food into simpler and soluble substances. So it is very clear that digestion is none other than the breakdown of complex nutrients into simpler forms, or simpler and soluble substances, soluble forms. Whatever that we consume, whatever that we eat will be in a complex form, except certain like glucose. Why I say glucose? Because glucose is the simplest form of carbohydrate, which is given in the last part of the sentence. Glucose is the simpler and soluble substances. That is, in digestion, the complex nutrients, it may be carbohydrate or protein or fat or vitamins, they will be broken down into simpler forms of chemicals or simpler forms of nutrients. At the same time, these simpler forms are called as soluble forms because they are readily accepted, or they readily mix with the blood and carried by the blood, and that's why they are known as simpler and soluble forms. Okay. So this is actually known as digestion, where the complex food substances are broken down into simpler and soluble forms. Let me give a few examples with related to this. That is, if it is carbohydrate, if the food that we consume is a complex carbohydrate, it will be digested or broken down into glucose. That is, glucose is the simplest form of carbohydrates. Secondly, if the nutrient is protein, okay, any protein, it may be flesh or something, the proteins will be digested or broken down into amino acids. That is, amino acid is the simplest form of protein. And if it is fat, the fat is digested into fatty acid and glycerol, which means fatty acid and glycerol are the two simpler forms of fats. I can say this in another way, that is, if you digest or break down glucose, any kind of glucose, it may be ribose or xylose or maltose or starch or fructose, any kind of carbohydrates, that will be broken down into glucose or digested into glucose. If protein, if you take or if you consume protein, all kinds of proteins will be broken down or digested into amino acids. And if it is fat, it is digested or broken down into fatty acids and glycerol. So these are the simplest forms. The simplest form of carbohydrate is glucose. The simplest form of protein is amino acids. So there are many different types of amino acids. And the simplest form of fat is fatty acid and glycerol. And I just want to say in a reverse manner, that is, glucose forms many different kinds of carbohydrates. Amino acids group to form many different types of proteins, and fatty acid and glycerol, there are many different types of fatty acids. Along with glycerol, they form fat or cholesterol. Okay, so I just said in the reverse order. Okay, so first actually we were discussing digestion. In the reverse order, it is a formation process. Okay, right. We'll go to the third topic, that is digestion. Digestion is the removal or elimination of undigested food and solid waste materials from the body. Again I repeat, the elimination or removal of undigested food and solid waste material from the body is called digestion. So when you ingest a food, it will be digested, then it will be absorbed, that is, the digested food will be absorbed by the villi, and those absorbed food will be circulated in the blood to wherever it is needed, and then it is assimilated. The nutrient is assimilated, whereas the remaining undigested or unabsorbed food, so actually in this sentence they have given only undigested, I add one more, undigested as well as unabsorbed food, which you actually called as solid waste material. Why it is called as solid? Because in largest intestine, as I said in the class, excess water is reabsorbed. Similarly in kidneys also you come across this function taking place. Always excess water is absorbed and the remaining only sent out as waste. That is with regard to kidneys, the remaining waste is sent out in the form of urine. And sweat, if it is sweat glands, the liquid waste is sent out in the form of sweat. So we are not concentrating here about liquid waste. So why I am saying this, because excess water is reabsorbed in the body, either in large intestine or in kidneys. The remaining solid waste here with related to digestion or with related to nutrition, the remaining solid waste is sent out in the form of feces. We have discussed this before in the class, and this is actually known as egestion. Egestion means sending out. In simple words, ingestion means taking in, egestion means sending out. So that is the answer. Elimination or removal of undigested food and solid waste material from the body is called egestion. So in other words, I could say the ingestion as well as egestion, they are antagonistic in nature. That is opposite. Ingestion is taking in the food, and egestion is sending out of the solid waste material from the body. Even though it is known as solid waste material, it is waste only for humans or animals, but this waste, when it goes to the ground, it is decomposed by germs or microorganisms, that is, I could say, useful microorganisms, and thereby it is converted into simpler and soluble forms of nutrients, either macro or micronutrient, which is again taken by plants. So I hope you have learned in lower classes about this decomposition or degradation done by microorganisms. And so it is not actually a waste. Okay, so even though we call it as waste material, it is not a waste, whereby this food, this solid waste materials or solid feces is again converted into useful nutrients, and it is taken by a plant, and again it is assimilated by a plant into a leaf or a root or a stem or a fruit or a seed, etc. So that is your second answer. The third question is, what are the differences between intracellular digestion and extracellular digestion? Okay, intracellular digestion and extracellular digestion. As you all know by this time, we have two types of digestion, that is intracellular and extracellular. That is, the digestion that takes place inside the cell is known as intracellular digestion. These kind of digestions are carried out in unicellular organisms, either plant or animal, where the digestion takes place inside the cell. For example, in amoeba or paramecium, the food enters into the cell, and inside the cell the digestion takes place, and so it is known as intracellular digestion. Whereas in case of multicellular animals, the digestion takes place outside the cell. Even though it takes place inside the body, the digestion is only outside the cell and not inside the cell, and that is known as extracellular digestion. Now let's see the answer. First, intracellular digestion, that is the digestion that takes place within the cell. Okay, so it is given here, this digestion process takes place inside the cell or within the cell. Whereas extracellular digestion, this digestion process takes place outside of the cell. This is the first difference between intracellular and extracellular. Intracellular within the cell, extracellular outside the cell. As I said before, all unicellular animals can be said as example of intracellular digestion. Here they have given two examples. One is amoeba and paramecium. Amoeba and paramecium are unicellular animals where intracellular digestion takes place, whereas almost all multicellular animals, but in this answer they have given only two. One is human being and cow. These two are examples of extracellular digestion. That is, the digestion does not takes place inside the cell, but it takes place inside the body. I hope you understand the difference. Then third point, since it is a unicellular organism, that is in case of intracellular digestion, the third point, since they are in unicellular organisms, all the processes are simple. So that's why this digestion is also simple. So I read the third point. It is a simple process in which ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and digestion are carried out within the same cell. So everything takes place in the cell. You can imagine, I think so. But it is not so in extracellular digestion, because in multicellular organisms all the systems are complex. You have many organs, many tissues involved, so it is a complex process. Okay, so not only digestion, all the processes are complex. In that way, this extracellular digestion is a complex process and is performed in a comparatively very large systems. So first of all, you have separate systems in multicellular organisms. Okay, separate respiratory system, separate digestive system, separate muscular system, separate glandular systems. So all the systems are separate. In each system you have many tissues involved, many organs involved, and in some cases many enzymes and many hormones involved. So that's why you call this extracellular digestion as a complex process, and it is performed in a comparatively very large system. Okay, so with these three answers we'll finish today's session. Already time's up, so from maybe next period we'll concentrate on the other answers from other lessons. As usual, the assignment for you today is like last class, your assignment for today is write these 3 5-mark answers in your classwork notebook. Just continue with what you have written before. Okay, so already you have written 2-mark answers. Then you write maybe Roman letter 2 and write these 5-mark answers. Okay, never bother about the Roman letter, because in book you have a separate you have a different Roman letter, so no problem. You write Roman letter 2, answer the following questions, and write these 3 answers in your notebook neatly. Write today's date and immediately read the answers. I am damn sure that these 3 answers are very simple. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the size of the answer. So when you read, you will understand, or when you have listened so far you have listened the answer, I think surely it is a very easy answer. So immediately read and get ready for your midterm exam. In another 1 week you will be having the midterm exam, so I think by this time you have got your portions, timetable, etc. So get ready for your midterm exam. Okay, thank you. God bless you.